This is your chance to get in on an action figure line without any distractions, without any noise or hype or anyone else paying attention, because nothing is currently happening with the brand, and every day that goes by without a movie or cartoon series or a new line of figures on the shelves, it fades further into obscurity. If the game is buy low, sell high, the buying game starts right now. Hi, I'm Dan Larson, and this is Getting Started with G.I. Joe. G.I. Joe can be broken up into four major eras. There's the original 12-inch line, including Adventure Team, which ran from 1964 to 1976. Then there's the classic 1980s 3 3/4-inch line, which ran from 1982 through 1994. Then there's a bunch of different stuff that happened between 1995 and 2006. Best to just move quickly through this era. And lastly, there's the modern or 25th or 30th or 50th anniversary plus movie lines, which started in 2007 and may or may not still be going depending on what the status of the G.I. Joe Collectors Club is when you watch this video. For more information about all the different eras of G.I. Joe, check out our 3-part History of G.I. Joe series, links in the description below. If you're coming to G.I. Joe with absolutely no prior knowledge of the toys, cartoons, movies, or comics, first off, weird. But secondly, don't worry about the cartoons, comics, or movies. You don't need to know the interpersonal relationships of the characters to know which ones appeal to you and which ones don't. And for the purpose of this Getting Started guide, we're talking about the 3 3/4-inch lifespan of the line that began in 1982. Like Hasbro's other marquee properties, Star Wars and Marvel, G.I. Joe might transfer over to the 6-inch scale in the future, but there's no going back to a full line of 12-inch figures. Some don'ts. Don't worry about carded figures. Your money is better spent on building a collection of all the different kinds of characters, the accessories, the gear. Even if you decide to focus on loose lots of incomplete figures, you'll have more fun getting more figures instead of 1 or 2 preserved pieces that you can't interact with. One of G.I. Joe's strengths as a brand is the variety of colorful characters, the diversity of costumes, and obvious specializations. Don't worry about vehicles or playsets. G.I. Joe is an expansive line covering a range of price points and complexities. Yes? No. Don't worry about vehicles or playsets. G.I. Joe is an expansive line covering a range of price points and complexities, yes, but there's no need to spend $1,000 on a Defiant if you won't actually have any figures to put in it. Make sure you like the figures before you buy a helicopter or a boat or a helicopter that turns into a boat. That said, if you do decide to grab a vehicle or two, especially if you're looking to handle them a lot, get the modern versions whenever you can. The plastic is more durable, and in many cases, there's actually more detail. Don't rush. Take your time. Familiarize yourself with what you actually want to buy. There are comprehensive resources online, so you'll know what you're getting into. There were 68 different versions of Snake Eyes produced between 1982 and 2017. Yojo.com will show you all of them. Make sure you're actually getting the one you want. If you decide to start with the classic 1980s era, don't worry about straight-arm figures. The first 16 figures that were released in 1982 don't have bicep swivels. They were re-released 1 year later in 1983 with bicep swivels. The straight-arm versions are more expensive and less posable. And since we're talking about the vintage line, stick with figures released between 1983 and 1989 at first. That's where the line was really firing, really producing its best stuff. There'll be plenty of time to explore post-1989, and there are some good pieces in there, but there's also a lot of potential to get soured on the line by too much Neon, too much Eco Warriors, Ninja Force, and maybe an accidental Mortal Kombat or Street Fighter character. Do look for common breakage points. Most of the 1980s Joes have fragile crotches that can snap off, broken thumbs, O-rings that have deteriorated or broken completely, and elbows that can crack around the metal pin of the joint. Watch for paint loss, watch for custom paint jobs done with marker, and backpack pegs that have snapped off in the figure's back at some point because they were glued in. If the vintage look and feel isn't for you, if you prefer a bit more detail, there's plenty to choose from between 2007 and 2017. Lots of great sculpts, incredibly detailed accessories, different versions to choose from in terms of supplied gear and overall aesthetic, from cartoon to movie realism. And lots of additional characters that were not produced in the vintage line. eBay is going to be your best and safest bet. There are sellers on Facebook, Craigslist, and Instagram, but if you don't have a trusted seller to buy from, there's also a lot of risk there. eBay is at least going to give you some protections, and a lot of sellers offer returns even on vintage merchandise. Check their feedback, and if you're still not sure, send them a message and make sure they have a full return policy. Buy in lots. Your per figure price goes down the more figures you buy. Individually, you might pay $8 to $12 for a complete common figure. In bulk lots, that price can plummet to $2 or $3 easily. If you're not sure what the going rate for a figure is, search for the character on eBay. Scroll down and click the box on the left-hand side that says sold, and then sort the results by recent first. This will allow you to see how the prices on that figure are trending, not just what the high or low is. Low prices mean you can get complete figures if you don't want to take the time to hunt and match up accessories. And since the original product is so abundant, regardless of the era, there's practically no fakes out there. It's not like today where a Black Series or a Figuarts piece is being counterfeited 2 weeks after the pre-orders ship. There's not enough margin on G.I. Joe figures to make it worthwhile for the counterfeiter. File cards aren't important, but they are fun. You can find listings with and without them, and listings that are just file cards without figures. But if you're buying figures that are technically complete, you'll be getting them anyway. Most collectors don't display the cards, so it's your call as to whether or not you even want to bother. There are a lot of characters in G.I. Joe, and yes, you're going to want a few high-profile names. You're going to want a Snake Eyes, a Storm Shadow, Cobra Commander, Destro, Duke, Flint, Scarlet, Baroness, Zartan, but after that, you can really choose where you want to go with your collection, especially if you're not looking to complete the whole line. The line was designed with rosters that were constantly refreshed, so you're really not stuck having to build a specific team. Pick the specialists you want. Literally judge them by the way they look and the stuff they come with. There's not much currently going on with G.I. Joe, but in December of 2017, Hasbro did announce some interesting release dates. A new G.I. Joe movie is currently planned for March of 2020, Micronauts in December of 2020, and another currently unnamed Hasbro property-based film in October of 2021. G.I. Joe just might be kicking off the Hasbro shared universe if that plan sticks. For now, G.I. Joe and the lack of overall interest in it gives you the freedom to pretty much build whatever kind of collection you want to. Army Build, Ninja Focus, Stealth Ops, the Union of Scuba Divers. Get started now before the prices go up in advance of the potential new Hasbro Cinematic Universe. Thanks for watching. Please hit like, hit subscribe, share this video, and let us know in the comments below if G.I. Joe is a line you've been into or something you're just looking to get into now. Do I even need to say that I've been Team Joe since 1983? Fun fact, the first G.I. Joe figures that came into our house were bought by my brother. He got Snake Eyes and Short Fuse. I was so impressed with those figures that I don't even remember what I got that day. I'm pretty sure I got a few Hot Wheels cars modeled after the movie Megaforce, to which I would say close enough to G.I. Joe. Right?
No.
Words, not deeds.
Cut.
Deeds, not words.
Cut.